Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the AI. This is video 2 of a 5 series video in which we are making the ultimate crypto AI agent. We have the AI agent made in front of us, but what I'm doing is I'm staggering these out so you'll see this released in a couple of weeks. But essentially what we're building out in the last video will be a Telegram message. It could be either a voice message or a text message that gets sent through a routing system. The voice message will be downloaded so that it can be transcribed by AI and sent to the AI agent as text. And the text messages will go in and just be filtered through to the AI agent. That AI agent is going to have a brain where it could use different tools and it can do things for you. And within this agent, it's going to have access to 4 sub-agents. Those sub-agents are listed right here: a DEX liquidity agent, an exchange and sentiment agent, a CoinMarket agent, which we have already posted. So see the description above, and it should come in somewhere around here for this agent. And this agent will get you relevant information currently on the market. And then we have the last agent, which is a crypto news and research agent. This is going to be video 5 of this 5-video series. However, today, what we are going to be working on is the DEX liquidity agent. So now I've shifted over to my DEX liquidity agent. And here we have some general instructions. What I want to do is I'm going to shift over here to show you and zoom in to show you the questions we're going to go through. So the first thing we're going to talk through is, what is the fear index today? We're going to say list the exchange and the highest asset holdings, and then show me the description of the white paper for Dogecoin. So those are 3 questions that this is going to be able to answer. Here is the workflow. So as I mentioned, it's going to be tied to that bigger agent, but since we're in testing mode, we could use this by itself. And when we use that other agent, the information would flow in here and go to the agent the same way as we open this chat window. So now let's ask it the first question. And to do this, what we want to do is open the chat window. And the first thing we're going to do is just ask it, what is the fear and greed index? And what this is going to access is it's going to access CoinMarketCap information through an API. And so we see it going to all the tools. It accessed the fear and greed index, and it's given us the fear index today total tool that measures the current sentiment of 0 to 100. And it says, as of now, the fear index is at a value of 33. And so this is taking the information from this and adding it to the fear index. So now let's look at the next question. List exchange with the highest asset holdings. All right, so now let's see this example. Now it's hit the heat map. It's going to the assets. All right, so now we have this listed out. Currently, the exchange with the highest asset holdings is Binance, with assets primarily held in Ethereum and Binance Coin. Here's a summary of some of the top holdings. Ethereum, and it has some information here for it. Binance Coin, and then various other tokens. And then it gives you some information. And, you could ask it or prompt it for more detailed information, but I've kept this really concise for this video. So ultimately what this is going to drive into is the ultimate crypto agent, which will process this information and be sent back to the crypto agent to produce you a report or give you a daily roll-up or whatever you need. It could be your ultimate assistant. So again, this is video 2 of a 5-series video. If you are looking for the other video, I'm going to link that in the description above. Video 1, which is the crypto agent, which just gets you relevant information on the current market. So if you find value in this video, please give this video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned so we can do a step-by-step process of building this out. And I'm going to walk you through how to connect all the nodes and have this run efficiently. So now I have entered my N8N environment. And the first thing I always want to do is rename the tool. This keeps it structured, because in the past, when I didn't rename these, I would have my workflow listed up to 10 times and you don't know which one's which. So this is why this is important. So we're going to name this exchange and sentiment. All right, so we have that complete. Now we know this is going to be the exchange and sentiment. Let's do crypto agent. Too easy. So now that's completed. Whenever we enter the N8N environment, we have to start off with a node. And this node is going to be the trigger node. This tells the node when to start. This can be many different ways. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. But since we are in a test environment, the test environment you're going to do is there's trigger manually. This is when you just click this arrow and it runs the workflow. You can schedule it on a time. You can do it on form submissions. And again, this is from the execute another node. So a higher node will do this. And then this is the one we're going to use. It's going to be on chat message. So now once you do that, all you have to do is click in it and then you can exit back out. So now this is already set up. So we have this complete. To make this agent, agents are really simple to create. What you just need to do is click this plus and then click advanced AI agent. And then the first one you see is going to be the agent you can use. So you just click this. And typically what I do is I just exit right back out of it. There's going to be more that we have to do to this, but I just exit out of it because I want to build the structure of everything. So now we have the chat message completed and we have the AI agent, but this agent cannot do anything. It's just a blank shell. We can imagine it being a robot with no computer systems or brains or anything. So to make this functional, we have to give it a chat mode. And what a chat mode is, it's the brain of the agent to tell it what tools to use here. All right. So when we give this information, it goes to the chat mode. It goes to the chat model. And this model is going to be OpenAI, and it's going to give it instructions to tell it what tools to use and call. So for this, we're going to click this plus. And you have different models, but I always just use OpenAI because this is the one that is already linked. But these other ones, you could use them. They have no advantage or disadvantage, but this is just the easiest one that I've connected. So since I have this connected, I have my account connected and the model selected. You can choose. What makes this model important is when you're going through this, since this is just the basic giving it instructions of what tools to call, what you want to do is use the cheapest model here. You don't need any reasoning. So this is why I choose this one. But if it was more advanced and it had more analytical reasoning that it needed to use, you would use a higher thinking model. So in this scenario, for this AI agent, since it's only telling it what tools to call, you want to use the cheapest model. So again, this is going to save you money when you're actually using the model out. It's relatively cheap already. And when I say cheap, it's pennies on the dollar. But when you're doing this, if you put too expensive here and you're calling all the time, you're wasting your credits on just telling a tool, the agent, what tools to call when there's not much reasoning it needs to do. Use the complicated models for complicated tasks. So all right, so now that we have this connected, I always like to give the AI agent some memory. And what this, it's so easy. It's just a step that I always do. Just click window buffer memory. And this gives it context to the last 5 messages that's been put into the chat, what is Bitcoin's rate today? And it gives you an error, and you say rerun the last message, it will know what the last message was if it was within those 5. So this is why I like putting this in. It doesn't cost anything, and it's relatively easy to use. So why not just throw it in there? Now this is where we're going to start building out the tools. So the tools are different things that the agent can access to complete the task. This can be your Gmail. It could be an HTTP request to a website. It can be Word documents. It can be Google documents, spreadsheets. There's many things you can put here. So your imagination is actually what makes this very useful. You can also put it over here to have the information be put into a Google Excel spreadsheet, a Google Sheets, an Excel spreadsheet, whichever way you want to do. But there's many different ways to do this. For this scenario, it's going to be pretty repetitive in what we build out. And what we're going to build out is an HTTP request. So what that means is we just click this plus, and we have the options of what we can use and what we can attach here. So it's already given us recommended tools. And so what we want to do is add in an HTTP request tool. And so this is going to be our first one, and this is going to be the exchange. So we always want to rename this. This is very important. I'll show you why when I make this first one. So we name this exchange map, and then we got to give it a description so it knows what it is and what it's doing. So I'm going to copy and paste a lot of this over. But for you, all you need to do is join my school community. And in the school community, you can download all of these for free. So what you need to do is, once we have the description in place, what you need to do is add in the URL. This URL is going to be the URL this node calls to through an API request. And an API request is essentially like if you go out to dinner, your cook is in the back cooking your food. You're sitting at the table waiting for your food. And so your server comes to you and asks you what you need or what you would like to eat. And it goes to the cook, gives that cook the information. The cook makes the food, brings you back the information. So the API is essentially the server between you and the cook. So once we have this complete, we need to go to authentication. So we need to go down to generic credential type. And then once we have that, we're going to hit header authentication. And then we have our market cap cryptocurrency API connected already. So I can click this. But if you need to connect yours, what you would do is you would click here, and then you would create a new credential. All right. So your API key is going to be the API key that's from the CoinMarketCap website. That website is linked in the description below, but I'm going to show you how it looks. You go into the CoinMarketCap, you create your account, you have to verify it by email, and this is what it's going to look like. So all you have to do is go right here where it says API key and copy this API key and paste it into the value right here. Now, what makes this tricky, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to show my API key, but the only thing that's tricky is I'm going to show you what I did so it makes it easier for you. So if you want to build some of these out, you can just troubleshoot it. So I use a lot of Gronk to go through and solve some of these issues. So to connect the CoinMarketCap API, you have to use this as the name. So this is the name you put in. So I found that through most of the AIs that are out there, Gronk is pretty useful for using an N8N. So if you take this API key, if you take this name and copy that and put it in the name section along with your API key, it will solve that for you. And so again, use Grok to ask it a bunch of questions to solve these for you. And so here's the prompt that I put. I'm connecting the CoinMarketCap API in N8N. What do I use to connect the name for the API key? And then it gives you all this information, but essentially all you need is this right here. And this will be linked in the description below. But what I want to do is I want to show you that if you use Grok, it can solve a lot of the challenges or the questions you have. So now, since I already have this connected, I'm not going to reconnect another one, but I'm going to continue with this video and show you some of the things that go inside of making one of these. So we need to add in this section, send a query parameter. So we open this up, we use this field, and now we have to, so now I'm going to copy and paste a lot of this information over. And so this is the first one you need to send, and then you also need to send a specific header. And so then we copy and paste accept in here. And this is it for this node. And so this node is completed. So now remember when I told you to name this name right here? This name is going to be listed right here at the bottom. And this is important because when you're building out the AI agent, you have to tell it what tools to use and tell it why you would use it. So in this agent, you would say something like, when you get a message, it would say use exchange map to do X, Y, and Z. And so the agent will send it to ChatGPT. It will know what to do and know which agent to send it to. And when you have 4 or 5 of these down here, of these nodes, it gets pretty confusing. So keeping the name and then having it defined inside the agent is pretty important. And I'm going to show you how to build out the prompt for the agent pretty easy using Grok. So now we're going to do this 4 or 5 more times. So this is where you could either zoom through the video, fast forward 2 times speed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build each sub agent. And each sub agent is going to do the same thing. It's going to have a description. And the description, I'm copying and pasting it from the other model that I have that you could download in my school community. So I've given it a description, and the description is telling it to get the metadata for the crypto exchange, include the description, the launch date, the country, and the link. Again, you have to give it a URL. The get means you've told your server that you wanted some food. Now the server is going to get that information and bring it back to you. So basically that's what this is doing. It's going out, getting the information, and returning it back to you. So again, this is going to go down to be a generic header. And then this has to be an authentication type. We need to go to header authentication. And mine is already connected, but I've showed you how to connect that. And now we need to add in a send query parameters. So for this, what we need to do is I need to put the ID that it's going to get for the coin. So now once the ID is here, we're going to add in a header. The header is here. And then we put the, and then I want to paste this in. So now we have this as accept. I need to rename this. Again, this is very important. Always rename it. And I'll show you why at the end of this video. Exchange info. Rename. So now this one is complete. And now we'll go to the next one. Go back, HTTP. Now we're going to do the exchange asset. So rename it first. And then hit rename. And then now we're going to tell it what to do. Again, the description tells it what it is and what it does. So here is returns token holdings of specific exchange, including wallet address, platform, balance, and US dollar value. We have it as a get method. Again, it's going to get that information for us. Pretty self-explanatory what that means. And then we paste in the URL. The authentication type, again, is a generic credential. And then we have the generic authentication type go down to header authentication. And then it's already connected. So once you already have it established one time, it automatically connects, which seems super easy and very useful. Again, the name will go down and make it ID. We want to add another header. The header is going to be accept. And once we have that, we can close it out and we are done. So now we have 3 of them connected and it's been a couple minutes, so it's not too long. So now we hit the plus, we have 2 more to go. So now we have the HTTP tool. And now we're going to make the CMC 100 index. All right. So this is going to get us the CMC 100 index information. And now here's the description of what it does. So it returns the latest CoinMarketCap 100 index value. It includes constitute. So again, this is going to be a GET. We leave this as a GET. I'm going to provide this URL. And then the authentication type, again, generic. Authentication header. My header is already connected. So now I don't need a send query parameter. What I need to do is add in a send header request. I'm going to put this as copy, or excuse me, I'm going to put this as accept. And this one is completed. So now we have the next one done. And we have 1 more to go. So now here is the fear and greed index. Rename this. Fear and greed latest. And so now I'm going to rename it. It's kind of annoying because you have to click rename. If you click out of it, it doesn't really accept it. Here's what this one does. Here's the description. It returns the latest value from the CMC Crypto Fear Index. So now here is the URL. You want to just do the same thing, generic, authentication header. And then what we need to do is just add in a send headers. And then we'll click accept. And this one is completed. And so now this model is done. So now we have everything we need for this exchange and sentiment crypto agent. So to test this out, what we want to do is open this chat. And we can start asking it questions. I'm going to ask it the same questions I did earlier. What is the fear and greed index? Okay, so I ran this and I actually forgot to do something. So this is a good use case of what we need to do. So we sent this in, and when I'm looking at this, what I've noticed is that it's sent to ChatGPT, it's go through, it's updated the memory, but since none of these are green, it didn't use any of these. So the reason it didn't use any of these is because I need to open this up. So this agent doesn't have the definition of what it needs to do. So since it doesn't have what it needs to do, it's only going to use this brain, and then the brain just asks OpenAI, and it doesn't get the API from any of the information. So it's really important. What we do is we give it a definition. So now what we need to do is we have this set up. It's getting information. So basically, let's run down what's happening. We have the input, which comes through. It gets sent to the agent. It gets sent here. So we see that right here as the prompt. So once this is complete, what we need to do is go down here to add an option. And it's going to give us the option for a system message. So now it gets the prompt for the information, and now we have to give it a system message. So I'm going to copy this over and show you what we're doing with it. We're going to keep it as an expression. And so now what the system message is we have to tell it what it is. So we're telling it you are an exchange analyst assistant with CoinMarketCap AI assistant ecosystem. Your task is to respond to user queries by retrieving real-time exchange level data, community sentiment, and index insights using tools listed below. Based on keywords or questions from the user, automatically call relevant tools and return the results in a professional format. Okay, so that's basically giving it what it's doing. And now down here, we have to tell it what tools to call. So the tool functions, this is where we talked about the naming being important. Each of these names has to match the name that we have given each of these nodes right here. So map, info, assets, index, and fear greed. They have to be the name to tell it which one to call here. So if you see, that's the first of each one of these, 5. And then we have to tell it, call this to get exchange ID, name and slug, call this to get the metadata, launch date, social, location, call this tool to get the token holding, exchange, and so on. So that's what that does. And then the last part here is the date and time. So what you don't want is for you to say, get the information right now, and it doesn't know what time it is. So basically to do this, I'll erase this and show it to you how to do this. So all you have to do is pretty easy. N8N already has the system to build it in. You just hit the curly braces twice. And now all you have to do is go here to $now. And now that gives you the date time of what time it is right now. And now you can add something in here. Always return your output in a clear, concise language at a high school level of reading. Most people understand high school. And if you're not an expert in the information, it's going to give it to you like an AI would. You're not going to understand it. So keeping it at a high school level reading, will be very efficient. And then I always sign off with the data doc. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to show you how to create this. So if you're making multiple of these, you're going to run into a point where you want to make these standard. The easiest way to do this is with AI, but there's a challenge with it. If you just put this and copy and paste it in and say, remake this as a prompt for an AI, it's not going to work because the AI is going to read this and think that you're telling it to do this and execute this. So I'm going to show you how to do this and rewrite these prompts so that you are not writing it out manually and you're using AI. So I'm going to switch over to Grok again. And so what I've done is I wanted to give this a prompt, and the prompt says, I have provided you an agent for crypto analysis in the first picture. I also provided the way to structure and write each node, what each node does. Write an overview and the tools to call. All right, so then I took a snippet of it and showed it the agent. And then I also showed it the instructions. And then I showed it the notes and what it's doing. So from that, Grok gave me this information, and it wasn't quite what I wanted. So then I erased that and I redid the prompt, and then I added a snippet of the actual prompt as an example. And I told it, here is an example of how I want the prompt structured. And so then the next prompt it gave me was structured just like this with the information I gave it. So if you're using these to make AI prompts for you, the best method to do that is to take a snippet of the prompt and put it in there, and then use this as the format for how to structure your prompts that you want to put into it. This keeps it from being confused. So now with this complete, I can hit save up here. And with this saved, I can rerun the fear index. And so now we see it calling the right tool, and it gives us the information that we just mentioned and we wanted. All right, so that was the crypto exchange and sentiment analyst. This is video 2 of a 5 series video. If you want, video 1 is linked in the description below, and it's linked in the video in the beginning. Video 3 is going to be published next week on Thursday. This is going to be culminating to the ultimate CoinMarketCap AI analyst agent, which receives information from Telegram. You could also change this to be your email. It could be Slack. It could be many different methods. It sends in the information. It decides which of the agents underneath it will use to retrieve that information. It may use 1, it may use 2, it may use all 4. And then it could send you a message, or it could create a report. If you want this to do a specific thing, shoot me some requests. I can add that in now. And as always, all these JSONs are in my school community. So join my school community where you can download these completely free. If you found value in this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. As always, I'm the Data Doc. Bye-bye.